9 different places.
Hello.
Okay, so
Wow.
we are live in 9 different platforms right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Oily Hour. Today we have really super special guests. In addition to me and Pamela Tanamura, we have Grace Paris and Sasha Tomlinson.
Yay, thanks for having us.
Yeah, seriously, very excited to be here.
Welcome.
Wow,
Awesome.
I'm
So
so excited.
I know, I'm super excited. We've been planning this episode for a little while now. And in doTERRA, we have something called Your Why, which I realized for a lot of the population might translate to how to find your purpose. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I heard that Grace and Sasha and Pam, and me too, I guess, here and there, have a really special why, and we're just gonna go around and talk about our whys, right, Pam?
Yes, I believe, well, we all have whys, right? All of us here, you're here that are watching with us. And it might be one of the most challenging questions in life, I believe, when you are asking, why was I born? Why am I here? Why I do what I do? And uh, something that I heard one time, and this was, I think it was Simon Sinek, or Sinek, when he was talking. There was this presentation, and he said, people are not really interested in what you do, not what to do. They're interested in why you do it, and that's the power of being able to really connect with the reasons why you do what you do, right? And one thing that I am really happy that I'm able to do, and this didn't come naturally, I had to learn how to do this, is to kind of figure out other people's whys. And that's something that I can see. And it's the same thing with anything in life. You can, as an outsider, you can see it better when you're looking from the outside in other people's lives, right? And that's what I do with the team. And those were really big conversations that I've had with Olivia and with Grace. And that makes a whole world of difference, right? Oh my goodness, Faraz, you're here. So guys, Faraz was one of my teachers in India. Hello, my dear friend. He is in Indonesia now. I'm super excited to have you on here. And he can definitely give us some comments here about purpose in life. He's a person that's full of purpose and really powerful creator, like all of you on here. So we are also going to touch on objections again today. So the whole point of Oily Hour is for us to be able to talk about things and break some of the objections that are very real for most of us that are living this lifestyle, that are kind of creating a different path, right? We're not just following a path that's already built for us, we're building the path. And that's definitely more challenging. Yes. So let's start with talking about your wine. So the first time I met Olivia, I thought was so beautiful. She said, and I knew from that very moment that we met, she was staying this hotel, and she had a toothache and she was miserable. So I shared with her one of our oils. Right? For me, the oils are like little conversation starters, but also I consider doTERRA as like a portal for me to be able to bless people the way that I have been blessed. So then Olivia said, I do music because I bring peace through my music. And that's what I want for people. I want to bring peace when they listen to what I'm singing. And if you take a look at all of Olivia's lyrics, they're very empowering, they're very positive, and they're full of purpose and connection, right? And Olivia, how was it for you transitioning from music to doing what you do now? And how did that why change or evolve since that one first time that we met?
It was really interesting transitioning from being a musician to doing doTERRA because they're so incredibly different. As much as I tried to bridge that gap, as in like, oh, maybe there's a way for me to bridge this. Like, a vocalist kit or a musician's kit or something along those lines. It just
That's so
did.
creative.
Yeah, it just didn't mesh for me. Although I've heard it working for some people, it didn't resonate with me in that way because I've compartmentalized my life in so many different ways. Like, oh, most of the people who know me from music don't know that I'm an entrepreneur. A lot of people who know me as an entrepreneur have no idea that I do music. And so it didn't really cross, and it still hasn't really crossed. So it was more so an amazing opportunity for me to share my entrepreneurial side because although I'm publicly a musician, first and foremost, I'm actually an entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur, like since I was a little kid. So I think that that transition really helped me to figure out my why and what my purpose was. And actually, Simon Sinek is one of my favorite authors because one of my favorite books is Start With Why. So reading that book really helped me understand, okay, I am a musician or I do doTERRA, but what, why am I doing this? That's what I do, but why am I doing it, right? So for doTERRA, once I, it's so funny because I think I pretended to have a why up until recently, maybe even like last week, because I knew that we were doing this episode. And so it was a very odd situation for me because I was like, what's my why? I have a very strong how. I'm actually a very strong how. I'm really great at figuring how to do things, but not so much why. And so I started digging deep and trying to figure out what my why was. And it all kind of starts with my actual life story, which in short, I divorced my parents when I was 16, so I'm actually I was an emancipated minor, and both my parents were incarcerated, and so I grew up having to be very independent, and I didn't have too much support from my actual parents. They're great people, just not in the way that most people would conventionally think. So my why now is to help people see that they can push through and they can get through adversity. And there's so many different kinds of adversity that you can face. You can be a foster child, you can be um, a victim of domestic violence, or you can be going through any kind of abuse or any type of adversity. And I feel like I can show you how to get through it. Anything, just any kind of problem. I'm a problem solver. So I really like to help people solve problems. I don't care what team you're on. I don't care what is going on. I just love to solve problems in any capacity. So that is my biggest why, is to help people that have issues that they want to resolve, and it seems to be reflected in my team. So that's how the transition happened.
Yeah, and what's really powerful too is what I see for all of us is that through adversity, all the obstacles that we go through, you choose to keep acting on it instead of pushing back, because fear, when I'm afraid, when I'm fearful of doing something new, which is normal, usually we kind of put on the brakes. And the difference is you choosing to act and just do it even if you're scared. Do it scared, right? That's something that we have talked about so much. And that is the choice that you make to be able to get that full circle of action builds confidence. And we talked about this last week. Confidence builds your way to be able to touch more lives, to really create an impact. And everybody that I've been lucky enough to be able to go on this journey with in doTERRA, and I talk about doTERRA as a path. doTERRA is a vehicle, doTERRA is a tool, and it's a wonderful, beautiful tool for people to be able to find their why, but also to really become what they came on earth to become. And it's a way for people to build confidence. I call doTERRA the school of confidence, because that's how I've built my confidence. When I first started in doTERRA, I barely knew how to speak in front of people. And after I started doTERRA, it's been such an awesome journey for me to be able to do this that I'm doing right now, which seems so natural now, right? When before I would be shaking and sweating before I turned the camera on. So for what's really awesome is the conversation I had with Grace that was really powerful was about the reasons why some people start a business or start doing something like we do in the model of work that we do, or start working for something that really touches their hearts. And I never heard people say to me, I started doTERRA because I really needed to make money. That was never the thing. And there's obviously nothing wrong with that. We live in the world and you have to have money to live. My yoga people, we love being in that realm of spirituality, but at the same time, I felt at that time that I knew so many amazing yoga teachers and they were all broke. They never had money. That really bothered me. So when I talked to Grace, Grace is also a yoga teacher, and we spoke about, I asked her, so what is the why? Why are you so in love with what we're doing doTERRA? And because she doesn't do it for the money. So, and I would love to have her share some of that conversation that we had a few weeks ago.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So first off, thanks for having me here. I feel like so blessed to be in the presence of giants. Like, if you guys know these women are amazing and they move mountains, and it's really, really amazing to be just in their presence, let alone on their team and like cross-line. And if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Grace. It feels super vulnerable to share this with you guys because there's truth there. Like, I don't need to do this for the money. And when I came to terms with that, I was like, so really, what is driving my success here? Like, why am I doing this? And like, I had an idea of like my purpose in life, like to live life to the fullest. It like doesn't need to be this crazy big why, but there was a purpose need. Like when we sign up for doTERRA, there's like these qualities that people sign up with, right? Like either there's a money need or there's a purpose need. And mine was very much the purpose need. And I've always found myself doing these careers that helped people feel good about themselves. Like I was a personal trainer. I studied sports science. I wanted to first it was athletes, and I was like, no, it's not athletes. It's just the everyday person who wants to feel good in their skin. And I realized like later on my path took me down fashion. I wanted people to feel really good in like how they appeared, right? And I'm like, oh, there's this pattern. There's this underlying thing. And I realized it was because I didn't feel those things in front of people. Like I didn't feel confident. I was really working on that for myself. I grew up in Hawaii. I was the white girl. I was the minority, right? And I like, on one hand, there's this really strong sense of ohana, there's family, but then also there was like this, I'm kind of the outsider, right? And I'm always searching for this sense of belonging. So really, like, it's funny that this year's theme at convention was evolve, because this purpose really does evolve over time. I came for the oils. I saw they worked. I fell in love with them. I shared them with my sister. She like fell in love with them. But over time, it's evolved. It's this sense of community that's kept me here. And it's really amazing to be a part of this community and now seeing like, wow, what we can do as a community with doTERRA is so much bigger than I can do just on my own. And I realized like planting my flag and being like, this is me. Like, it doesn't matter what I say or what I do. I know I'm going to trigger somebody, but I have to let my light shine because I feel like people are looking for that sense of belonging. They too, like, they might gravitate towards me, or I might bring that comfort to another person, and we can link arms and we can really actualize our purpose and our potential. And for me, that's my greatest fear, is not actualizing my potential. So there's this wanting to create belonging for other people, helping people actualize their dream, and it's all fueled by freedom. I just want to live my most free life, and that's what doTERRA offers. It's like financial freedom, health freedom, time freedom, like all the freedoms that you want, you can have with this company. And it's just like, it's so vulnerable and emotional, and it feels so great. And it's like, I just want to share it with everybody. So yeah, that's why I'm here. And that's really the place I'm coming from when I wake up every morning, is how can I help people be more free and feel great about themselves? And I know my sister's on board too, because we've just been running lately. So I'll pass the baton, because I know she's got her story to share too.
And before Sasha shares her why, I'm taking notes and writing it down, and I'm gonna share with everybody once Sasha's done, because this is powerful. When we're talking, and this is a way for you to find your why. When you're talking to people, write down the things that stand out the most for you. And one exercise to do to find your why or what moves you is for you to first have the vision of an airplane, and the airplane that's leaving one airport, let's say LAX, and it's going to Sao Paulo. Okay, I'm just saying that because I'm from Brazil always. So, and I do this route often. So, if this airplane is 1 degree off, it will not end up in Sao Paulo. It will end up in another place. And that is why it's so important before you start anything, especially when talking business and something that you're going to dedicate your life like a career, right? For a long time, a chunk of your life, you have to know the destination, at least where you have the vision where you're going. So, I'm going to Brazil, and I know that's the city I'm going to. So making sure that is not off. 1 degree off, and you end up in a completely different place, right? And that clarity is super important. And we are able to do this by speaking to each other. So talk, have dialogues. So, and then the words that stand out, write them down. And that's what I'm doing right now. Sasha, your why.
Oh man, there's just so much power in the sharing. I'm so inspired. Thank you so much for having me tonight. It's like I thought I had clarity last week at convention about my why, and now it's just like hammered in. It's just getting cemented in tonight, and so fun. My why, oh, the you know, being a health freedom advocate, I never knew that like that is what was going to be my main identity this year. Last year, I felt like I was in all sorts. I'm like, what? Okay, I'm choosing doTERRA. Founders is up. I'm going for this. But I wasn't really certain on it. And then last, I guess at convention, we met Edna Adan, and our story in doTERRA of opening up a hospital in one of the poorest countries in the world and providing them with basic necessities, basic medical care for women, for men, for children that are growing up with issues that like we have eradicated in the Western world, it really moves me. And I last year got into food sovereignty. I watched a couple documentaries about how even in our country we have food barren, food impoverished regions. Children are growing up with malnutrition. They're not growing up with malnutrition so much like the kids in Somaliland, where they are born with spina bifida or born with really serious issues. But there are parallels there, and that really spoke to me. So I knew that there was something in food sovereignty. But looking at this hospital, I'm so excited that we can help treat these kids. And at the same time, I'm asking myself, how are we going to take care of this at the root cause? And we ask ourselves that while working with the oils, while being natural lifestyle advocates, because we know that these oils, they work with our body, they help optimize our system. They're not just patching things up, right? And so that's kind of where I was drawn to in my why is fixing an issue at the root cause, bringing food health, food wealth to our world, and and really making it known that health freedom is a right. It's not a privilege. And I've been fortunate enough to feel that way my whole life. I've always felt like learning about my body and giving it what it needs has been fun, and it's been accessible always. And that's how I want everybody to feel. That's why I wake up in the morning now, is if you have a problem, I hope that we can find that root cause. I hope that we can help you feeling positive in your body, help you feeling optimized, feeling like you can take on anything. So those are my two things: food sovereignty and making sure that you feel empowered in your right to health freedom.
Can I
That's
chime
amazing.
in?
Yes, Grace, but one question for both of you, and that's something
Okay.
powerful. And we talked about this. Do you girls have to work to live for the rest of your lives? Do you really have to work? Be
Yeah,
honest.
no.
So just so you guys know, and this is powerful, okay? They can be good for the rest of their lives, and we're talking financially. They don't have to work. And I got goosebumps talking about this. And that's why I told Sasha and Grace that they needed to be here with us, because it's very easy for people who are in their position to be comfortable and be like, hey, my life is good. So, you just tune out from the rest of the world and just live your life. And that's why I'm so inspired by both of you, because by all of you, because you choose to make a difference when you could very much kind of brush it off and be like, hey, like each person doing their own thing. So I'm really, really inspired by what you do.
I appreciate you saying that. I had a lot of shame around that growing up, like being the rich kid in Hawaii. And there's such a disparity there that there was a lot of shame, and I had to get past it and realize, no, I'm going to make something of myself regardless. But that's on a tangent. I wanted to say, well, it's amazing about Sasha. And for those of you who don't know my sister, she is also a doula, and she helped me doula my son into this world. And it was like, if you're about to give childbirth and you don't have one, I can't recommend it enough. But it's the informed consent, and that's like having someone there advocating for your like your information and what's going to make the right decision for you. And I think that's something that's so powerful, and something so beautiful about my sister. She's like, what is right for you?
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I know
Did you
who to
know that,
call.
Olivia? Olivia, did you know any of that?
I didn't know, and I didn't want to assume, so I don't I if I don't know, then I just don't assume. But that is so interesting now that we know our whys, because we are on polar opposite.
Yeah.
Clearly.
But and then it's always so interesting how you like manifest those people in your lives, because I was like, oh my God, Olivia, you're so fierce. Like, that's the will that you have is exactly what it's the muscle that I'm trying to flex right now. And like, you are so close to my reality. I'm like, I can do it. There's this person who's reflecting it back to me, and it's so amazing. Like just grateful. So grateful to have you women reflecting back to me like I can do it.
I'm grateful for all three of you. So this is incredible. This can't happen without doTERRA. Like, I'm like I said, I told you both at convention. I was like, oh my gosh, Grace and Sasha, you two are gonna make it. Like, you two are gonna make it. And if you ever
Thank
need
you.
someone to
Oh,
hold
yeah, we
that
are.
hand, it's gonna be Pam and I over here.
Oh yes, we're holding it. And this is another powerful thing is I talk a whole lot about generational healing, because that is the core of what I do. Because I have had to heal to be able to be here and talk about healing, right? And talk about how I can give tools to people for them to also be able to heal. And when I spoke to Grace about this, she and I held that vision of, when you hit diamond in doTERRA, it's a big thing. If you don't know what diamond is in doTERRA, it's basically a rank where you can live and do whatever you want for the rest of your life, and that is the truth. You're very self-sufficient. Diamond is such a blessing. And also signifies a lot of growth, because you have to look at your shadows and work and do shadow work for you to be able to move forward in what we do. And Grace and I talked about what it would look like, to for her to walk diamond and have your mother watch you. And this is another thing that is important. We're all here, so if you believe this or not, but you can probably kind of track it and take a look at your family and the way that things happen. We repeat what our parents did, and it takes a whole lot of effort for you to break the cycle and be a cycle breaker and not do the same. And so when we talked about this, we talked about honoring our DNA, because it's in your DNA. You can't deny it, right? Even if you don't know your parents. My husband was adopted. He doesn't know his parents, but it's in his DNA. So when we talk about honoring and being able to heal generations, is we can do it better. We can honor them, and that's why we repeat patterns. Do you know anybody or families like son is an alcoholic, the father is an alcoholic, the grandpa was an alcoholic? Have you seen that? I've seen that so many times. And that's because they love each other and they do it for love. And they're like, look at me, dad, look at me, grandpa, I'm just like you. I'm going to do exactly what I did because I love you, right? And that's usually what we do. So we honor them that way. And sometimes it's not the best way to honor by perpetuating something that wasn't necessarily good, right? For you, for the people that are around you. So being able to honor for me, I'd say, we have big karma with our mothers. That's why they gave us life, and that's why we chose them to be our mothers, is for us to be able to really polish ourselves and be understanding and come to a place that to understand that they are grand, regardless of your relationship with your mother. And Olivia and I talked about this a lot, regardless of the relationship and whatever they did, they gave you life. And just for that, we just be grateful, and then your life will flow. It's very interesting too how this works. And I'm saying it from a very personal place, that I had to do it for my life to be able to flow. And as couples, if you're married, if you have a partner, Olivia is married, Grace is married too, and Sasha is not yet. But as a woman, and being independent and being like, I don't need anybody, I'm like having this masculine energy, which is powerful and it's beautiful. At the same time, if you have a partner, it kills them. So I had to learn to give my husband the place for him to serve me too. I don't have to do everything. So I'm just mentioning all these things because the vision that we had, Grace and I spoke, it brought me to tears. And that's another thing. Your why makes you cry. It has to come from a deep sense of connection and emotion. So when I talk about my why, it's automatic. Like I start tearing up, and I'm already tearing up just thinking about it, right? So because there's a lot of mission connected to it. And it's beautiful when things start happening this way, because you get into an alignment that for like even stupid things you might think, you find parking everywhere you go. You experience that? You're like, there's never parking
every single time.
Right? Or like, really, I never have a problem parking. You change habits that that aren't good for you. Life feels easy and flowy, and you become a lot more appreciative too, right? And you're able to manifest things, and they start showing up. And I'll tell you guys a story about what happened yesterday, after you guys chime in a little bit in that sense. Does your wife make you cry? Olivia?
Oh,
Yeah?
I'm still working on this crying thing.
But share why you don't cry, Miss Olivia.
Well, I think it's a lot to do with because I had to basically ride through the trash Um, it's it's a little bit more difficult because I'm still working on giving myself the the permission to cry, because when you grow up in this kind of environment and my kind of background, that's not the first thing that I was basically like not allowed, but it's more like it's not the first thing that I was it it, it would have it's not the first thing that would have benefited me to do. And so when I think of a purpose or a problem, my first reaction is to solve it. And I might process it emotionally, literally years later. Now that I'm older, I've realized that I can even process emotions decades later. It's that bad. And it's something that I'm working on. So I
But you cried at convention.
so much.
That
And
was
so
huge.
and I know, and I know that doTERRA is part of my own personal healing journey for that, because that's just not it's not something that has been that's been like allowed. I keep using that word, like allowed permission, maybe because I grew up like, oh, if you're crying, then you better stop, because that's you're not allowed to do that. And I'm just like, because we're like literally fighting to survive, and you have to like rise through the trash. And I'm like, it's a metaphor, it's not literally trash, but it's just it's really difficult to think about that, because it's like, okay, I'm not allowed to cry, and then I hold that childhood trauma basically to my adulthood. So let your kids cry. This is the biggest lesson here, because if not, they're gonna turn into this adult emotionless thing. And then when it is time to cry, I lose it. I just completely lose it, and I can't control it because I've never learned how to control my emotions.
Yeah, but that's the journey, right? And also,
Exactly.
when you are in survival mode, and Olivia and I come from very similar backgrounds, we have to survive, right? So when you're in survival mode, you don't have the luxury of time nor money to feel trapped in that, because otherwise you won't survive. And it's definitely, I wouldn't say harder, but I guess there are difficulties on both sides, right? And then Grace and Sasha can speak to that other side too. It's hard on both, like both ways. It's hard when you are able to have that foundation, and it's hard when you don't have. And we all kind of meet in the middle. That's how we all come and connect, right?
Mhm.
So one thing that's powerful, and I think when you find your why, is we understand the power of creation, and also we take inspired action all of the time, and then there's no fear that gets in your way when you're really focused on on your why and why you're doing things. So I did this little list of the things that we talked about. First was to be a problem solver and to be a solutions provider. Community, freedom of all kinds, to help people have to achieve their dreams. I want to help the world. Philanthropy, make a difference. And right now, I'm going to add legacy. And that's something that for me speaks really, really powerfully. Once I had Addie, I automatically understood, and Grace can relate to that too. I understood that anything that I do from now on is not for myself. And there's another little person here that depends on me. And I truly believe that they come to teach us lots of things. So in Buddhism, we believe that. So our children are our teachers, right? So when I looked at Addie when she was born, she was one of the main reasons why I decided to leave what I used to do, doing in the construction industry, and really step into the unknown, because there was nothing guaranteed at that point, right? And really understand that I can honor my ancestors and I can honor her, the future, both sides, right? When you make changes in your life, you affect 7 generations forward and 7 generations back. And that was my way for me to honor her. So kids, when you have children, for me, it has been a huge part of my why. And Addie was one of the biggest whys for me when I decided to do what I do. But at that moment, I had just started. So my why was very different then. My why at that time was for me to be able to be home with her and do something that really spoke to my heart. And then I had gone to India and Thailand, and I also came to terms that I wasn't going to have this abundant living off of yoga. You know, I know there are amazing professionals that do that, but very few, to be honest. I know very little amount of people that really live off of it and have an abundant, prosperous life that they can give people um, the same opportunity. It's very rare. And also, I I decided that I was going to be able to do something that no one in my family had done, which was I wanted to be an entrepreneur and work for myself and also be present. My mom is an entrepreneur, but presence was something that definitely we felt the the emptiness of sometimes not having her there, right? So then I had to break the objections I had, the paradigm, shift the paradigm of if you are a businesswoman, you can really be a good mother, right? So then that changed. If you are a really good mother, you can really be sexy and have an identity outside of motherhood. So this whole journey has changed. The why has evolved. So when I hit gold, that's another ranking doTERRA, you make about $5,000 a month. That's when I decided that I'm ready to let go of my other business and really do this full time. So then my why changed. So now I wanted other women to have what I had. First was children, right? I wanted the children, all the children in the world, to have the peace that my children have. Then I went to the women. I want the women to do what I, if they want to, they can have what I have. They can do what I did. Then it evolved again. So I went diamond, and diamond is a game changer. Then you're like, I want to change the world. And that's kind of like what happened. And then I went to Brazil to work in Brazil, brought doTERRA there, and I'm a founder of Brazil. And today I talk about changing the economy of my country. And look, just talking about it makes me emotional because I have such a big connection. And that's another thing too. If you are from another country, you have to honor the country you come from. It's in your DNA. There is a reason why you're born there. So I feel a really big pull. Every single time I talk about Brazil, there's a big pull. So we live part-time in Brazil, part-time in Hawaii right now. And that's my why today, right? So it has evolved. So you're starting now, your why might not be connected to the destination that you're going to, and you will see this, and it's a beautiful journey. It's really beautiful to see it develop, you know. So those are the things that I gather from our little talk here.
I want to speak to what I have to look forward to. You know, it's like I feel as if I've just gotten clear really on my why, and it's like it's full tank of gas and I'm going, you know. And for you, like, you've had that sensation, you've had that success, and it's been able to help you like just expand your vision, not only for your family and for your close community, but now it really is for the world. And like, I want to say thank you because it has me dreaming big now. Like, while I'm just starting this business, it has me thinking like, yes, I can have this impact. Just like I'm going diamond. Like I have this dream. Like we're engaged in such amazing change and like really mission-based work. Like we can't come down from it, you know, like full tank always. So thank you for sharing all of your whys. They make me cry.
Oh, you're amazing.
You're amazing. You know, there is that quote. I think we have used the quote in one of the meetings, right? And can I read it?
Yeah.
It's Marianne Williamson, and that's a Return to Love, Reflections of the Principles of A Course in Miracles. And I see miracles every day. And I say this and I put on my stories, I see miracles every single day. And that's what I mean, you know? Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are meant to shine as children do. We are born to make it manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. We are liberated from our own fear. Our presence automatically liberates others. This is up. I have this saved on my screensaver on my computer. So Sasha, yes, I invite you all, dream big, you know, because the world needs it right now, especially right now. And I'm gonna continue to be a dreamer, but not just here, because a dream without a plan will fail, right? It's just a dream. But we have a plan. We have a vehicle. We have a way to make this happen and become real. And if you need a proof of it, we're living it. So we're the living proof of how this can happen. So girls, do you have any questions? Anything else that you guys want to share? I'm replying to people here on apps too. Oh, happy marriage, they said. Yes, happy marriage.
Thank you. Yes, the Taco Bell wedding was very exciting. And I wish that everybody was able to come.
So unique, that wedding.
So I wanted to add that what's interesting is I remember you mentioned something that Pam, very Sasha, that you didn't come in for the money. And neither did I. Despite the fact that, you know, I've always, not now, I used to always need money. And it was something that was very, very important to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I grew up in such a strange situation. And when I grow up, I want to make sure that I can order whatever I want on any menu. I want to be able to put gas in my car and not go, ooh, gas or dinner. I, I was in that place for a little while in my early adulthood. And I just remember thinking, like, I never wanted to be in that place again. But when I saw doTERRA, I looked at the build guide and I kind of winced at it, and I was like, "There's no way this is real." I looked at it. That's literally what I said because I grew up just looking at things, and I'm like, "Oh no, there's no way. How is that possible?" And what's crazy is I go into doTERRA because I was a closet hippie and I was just ready for the world to know that I was actually a hippie. And I come out realizing that, first of all, the money is real. And that was more like a byproduct of why I started doTERRA and why I started doing it as a business and not the main, not, it wasn't the main event. it just so happened to be something that came along with what I absolutely love to do already. And that was by far the most profound thing that I've discovered through doTERRA. And it's crazy because I would do this for free. I would do this for free. But I am so blessed and so grateful to receive pay every single week. It's crazy. Who knew? Pam, who knew?
I
Pam
knew.
Yeah, Pam knew.
She
Pam
did
I
knew.
from the get go.
I knew.
Yeah, she did.
Uh, and and that's the thing when you're talking about being aligned, right? If you're clear, purposeful. When I meet people, and that's another cool thing too, is you're going to attract the people that are in the same vibe as you. And the story about being aligned real quick. So every day when I wake up, that's another thing that you can do. And with your why, you can do affirmations that truly believe in them, and being able to reprogram your subconscious. And every single morning when I wake up in prayers, I'm Buddhist, so is Olivia. And I chant our mantra, and I say this, and I talk to the universe and I say, bring me all the women that are ready to run and dream big with me and create an impact in the world. And it's happened every single month, but this month just was like, whoa. So be careful to ask, because it's gonna happen. And that's another thing, you're excited because you know that there is an infinite amount of abundance and prosperity and love and money in the world. You just need to tap into it if you're aligned, right? When you're aligned, then you start tipping big too. Do you tip big? That's a sign, because you're never in scarcity, you're always giving. And so I received a message on my Instagram, and I mentioned this to Olivia. And this girl, she's incredible. You guys are gonna meet her. And she sends me a message, and she sends me a picture on one of the pictures on my feed of me and my grandma and my husband kissing my grandmother. And she goes, "Your grandmother is the sister of my grandmother. My grandmother was one of 12." And so there's a lot of them, and they always spread out in the world. So there's people in Europe, my grandma, my mom is from Portugal, and now they live in Brazil, and this
Wow.
woman lives in Portugal. So she sends me a message with the picture, and she said she is, and I would love to talk to you. So we just spoke today. I never posted on my story. Basically, we're living the same lives in two different sides of the globe. We both had the same issue with our health. So she couldn't have children, and she is also a yoga teacher. So she went to India to do the same exact story. We're in the same. She's a Scorpio and she goes, "What's your rising?" It's Pisces, and she also had a astrological map done wrong, and it was just done right 3 months ago, just like me, right? Crazy. The alignment is nuts. And she's a lawyer. She was also in the Senate in Portugal, so she's a powerhouse. She's also a coach. She's a trainer, a leader of women, and she's a badass, right? And she has a company that makes sustainable clothing for yoga. So she's a leader who is also an entrepreneur. And she said, and I was looking for doTERRA, and then I searched, and you came up. She's my cousin. We have the same blood running in our veins.
Amazing.
That's
Wow.
I get goosebumps all over. So my grandmother was, and this is you honoring your ancestors. Okay, I'm lucky that my grandma is alive, and I've done all the work to really tell her how much I appreciate her, and it's been beautiful the past 3 years. And so my grandmother she said, "Your grandma is very special to me, and I've been dreaming of her." And she's planning to come to Brazil to see my grandma. My grandma is 94, right? She's in and out of hospital, and so she's probably, we know she's at the end of this, and she wants to come see my grandma because she wants to say thank you, because my grandma was the first person. She calls her guru, that gave her the first mantra. That's what we chant, right? And that really, really was really important for her in her journey now to live the life that she's always wanted, you know. So that was like full circle, you know, the honoring, the alignment, and my grandma coming into play for this connection is, yeah, there is some things that you can't explain scientifically, but it's there.
That's
Wow. What a story. What?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's really a message to be open to the miracles, like the synchronicities. I have a friend, a year ago, I met her through a women's group, and she wrote down all of the qualities of the man that she wanted to be with. And she just received him into her life like 2 months ago, and she's running with it. And it's just like, just be open, be really clear about what you want and who you want to touch. And also, like, the person that we speak to best is ourselves. Like, that's who we're authentically showing up as. So we're going to attract that. And you sure did that today, Pam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yesterday too, guys, this is crazy. When you do shadow work, there is a lot of stuff that you really need to let go, right? We know that. So, and I spoke and I met a friend of mine for like 20 years, and we hadn't seen each other for years. And we used to go out together, and now we met with kids. And we're talking about that time. And I mentioned that I speak to all of my ex-boyfriends except for one. And that kind of bothered me. You know, there's something that bothered me about it. And I was thinking about his parents because, you know, we had a relationship with parents too. I was with him for years. And we were at the beach at Kaimana Beach. You guys know Kaimana Beach, right? And then I hear Pam, and I look back, it's his parents. And Meryl was there with me. That's my friend. And we're just like, this is nuts. I just said that. So what does it mean to me? It means that I'm really letting go of things that you don't need to hold grudges. The stuff that you choose to feed is how long it's going to serve to live for, right? So if you feed that, it's just going to be there. So it was really beautiful to be able to. It was a healing session yesterday with them, and it was really, really, really awesome. So I start healing, and things will just start flowing, and then people are gonna start showing up, and you're like, oh my god. So, just, so I guess this is the time. So
Now is always a good time.
yes, yeah, yeah. Let's keep healing so we can get in this flow and keep doing, bring this goodness right to the world. That's what we need to do. Hey, lovies, amazing. You guys are amazing. So grateful to live life with all of you.
Such a treat. Oh, still riding that convention wave. And we're just
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine.
Oh, so next week is October already, right?
Mhm.
And it is the month that we call it Pink Month because it is to focus on cancer awareness. And we have a very special person in our lives, and this is the person that we are going to support. She's a scientist and a doctor and an immunologist in Brazil, and she's such a valuable human being in my life and our team, and for doTERRA too. She has cancer and she never said anything, and if you meet her, you can never tell. She speaks English, so she's going to jump on HAPS with us one of the Sundays in October, and her name is Dr. Gabriela. And so she has sold an apartment to be able to pay for her treatment since 2015. And she was actually very touched that Susana is another friend of mine in Brazil, Susana Justus, and I took on this project to be able to help her. She has a course, it's in Portuguese, so it will be for Brazil, but we're going to do a trade so people can take the course and they can donate to her cause, which is her health, it's her life. So some of the doctors said that her cancer is all over, but she's been doing some other treatments to be able to be here, because she has big mission here. So her name is Gabriela. You guys are going to meet her, and next month we're going to focus a little bit more on cancer awareness, and we're going to have some guests too that went through it and are going through it. It's going to be very powerful because she says this, every day I wake up and I say, I'm happy, I'm alive. So you got to give thanks that we're alive and breathing and healthy, right? It's going to be very powerful.
Wow. Yeah, bringing in more gratitude and more belief, more purpose. Keep the parties going.
Hey, Sasha, on HAPS, Garuda Legends asked if you're single.
Hi, Garuda Legends. It's a really interesting name. Hi, no, I'm not, but I'm flattered. Sending you virtual kisses.
I love it.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm
That's
just reading
amazing.
it now. That's funny. Hi.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than just that question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I hope she beats cancer, dang. Yeah, me too. I really hope so. You guys meet her. And yeah, she will win this fight for sure. We know that.
And huge
And that's
shout
the
out.
community.
Yeah. Huge shout outs to Debbie, Priscilla, and Avi for joining on the chat via Haps
Yeah.
too.
Hey
So,
guys.
hey, thanks for hopping on. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for joining us on Oily Hour. Please come back. We would love to have
Please
you
come back.
again.
Thanks for
'cause
having us.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us hop on here and hang out.
This is so fun. Okay, so
So every Sunday,
I love this content. Keep it up. Oily Hours.
we're trying. I think we've hit 100 plays, and it's only been a month on all the different podcasting platforms. So this has been really fun. I forgot to tell you, Pam. So I guess I'll just publicly say it. We've hit that, and we've been we have listeners from all over the world. I don't know where they're finding us, and I don't know where it's coming from, but we have listeners from all over the world, and I'm like, wow, are we interesting?
You're fascinating. You guys have amazing stories. Are you kidding?
Thank you. I'm so glad. I was like, is anybody listening out there?
You're like, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna keep showing up anyway.
Yeah, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we have one listener. Let's go.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. One time I showed up to an event, there was nobody. I went live.
Yeah,
Because hey, just make lemonade. That's it.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah. That's actually my go-to default. If there's any event that doesn't turn out right, just go live.
Just go live.
Automatic, hundreds
go
of
live.
people to your event.
If you change one life, that's it. You did it.
Exactly.
Okay, my
Thanks for the
loves.
tip.
Here on Instagram, we have 25 seconds. We're so
Oh,
good in time.
okay. Bye,
Okay,
everybody.
love
on
you.
Instagram.
Love you guys. Thanks for having us.
Hola.
Bye.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to end it on Haps
Instagram.
too.
And we are here with the people on apps.